Hello everyone, my name is Hannes Astok and I'm an executive director and senior expert in Estonian e-Governance Academy. And I'm very happy today to present you Estonian digital government ecosystem and compare it with a similar situation in Ukraine. E-Governance Academy has been working with Ukraine very closely from 2012, starting with a cooperation in the municipal level. And from 2014, we have assisted Ukrainian government to plan and deploy e-government strategies, policies, but also core information systems. So I'm happy to share our experience in Ukraine. Currently, we have in Ukraine more than 20 persons working permanently in various projects, and we have been implemented around 10 various scale projects in Ukraine. The biggest ones are both 10 million euros size. So, but let us start with Estonian experience and then compare it to the Ukrainian current situation. So before we start, I'd like to underline that our understanding in Estonia about the e-government is following. Definitely, the technology is a crucial part for the digital government, but also legal framework and change management are extremely important parts that are usually underestimated. Because without proper legal framework, you cannot make functioning everything in digital format. And also change management is extremely important because without change management, what includes both changing of ways of work, business processes, legal framework, and finally simplification and re-engineering of business processes and services, technology cannot provide any benefit for any government. So let us start a discussion about the Estonian e-government ecosystem with e-government enablers. We have divided those enablers into two parts. First of all, so-called digital elements, and this is kind of core of any digital government. It's digital databases, interoperability, digital identity, services portals, and various applications, cybersecurity, and sectorial solutions. But as mentioned earlier, digital elements alone do not provide any benefit if they are not supported by the analog elements, what are legislation and regulation, sustainable organization, financing and fiscal framework, change management, and last but not least, political will. Because as we know that in any government, all the changes are driven by the political will, and if there is proper political will, it's much more easier to update legislation and regulations, to build up sustainable organization to support digital government implementation, to finance of necessary works, and also later support and maintenance, and also make the changes inside the government happening. So we can say that those analog elements are actually defining the success of a digital government, because technology, so to say, is easy to procure. You just need the money for it and definitely certain knowledge. But to take out the benefits from digital elements, you need also very clearly those analog elements. So let's move forward and let us first of all define where is the bottleneck, what is the problem what we are actually solving. In traditional public service delivery, citizen or businessman, to get the service from a government, must visit one, second, or third office to collect various pieces of information, usually in the format of paper certificates. And when all the necessary documentation is collected, plus the application is fulfilled, the citizen must submit it back to the government. But actually, if you are thinking, what is the content of those certificates, what you are collecting, like certificate of birth, certificate of living, certificate of business registration, or any other certificate, they are actually outprints of a government databases, either national, regional, or municipal level. So actually, what is happening in this traditional public services delivery is that a citizen is collecting the information what is actually already owned by the government, what are just outprints from various government databases, collecting it actually himself, and then submitting it back to the government. So all the administrative burden to collect the information is on the shoulders of a citizen. Many governments are using one-stop shop, but is definitely much better than traditional public service delivery. So in one-stop shop, citizen must visit twice government office, once to submit the application, after the government official is collecting data from various databases, ministries, agencies, municipalities, and when the required certificate, document, or service is ready, citizen usually need to come back to the government office and pick it up. But also in this model, citizen must visit at least twice the government office, and it's consuming a lot of his or her time. And I come back to the calculation and comparison, how much time is spent in one or another model pretty soon in the next slide. Estonian understanding about public service delivery in the modern format is self-service. Basically, our understanding is that citizen just must log into the government service portal, select the service, what he or she needs, apply for it, fulfill additional fields, and when necessary data is retrieved from various government databases, and the service is provided either immediately, either if there is a need for human approval in the next working day already by the government official, and necessary document is also delivered in the digital format to the citizen, and definitely the same document in the digital format will be also recorded in the government databases. And what we need for this purpose is definitely that the data what we are using is in digital format and accessible. There should be secure data exchange allowing to request and retrieve the data from various government databases in secure manner and in digital format. There should be portal and citizen applications allowing citizens easily to understand the service. And finally, there should be a strong digital identity allowing government to identify who is actually the person who is applying for one or another service. And based on this infrastructure, we can build endless number of digital services by ministries, agencies, and municipalities. Now let us take a closer look to those basic infrastructure elements to allow you understand better how it's functioning in Estonia. But before it, let us compare how much time citizens are spending when applying offline or versus when they are applying online for various government services. And we have took an example when a citizen who is living in a remote village, when he or she must apply for whatever certificate. So when he or she is traveling to government office, it usually takes like 4 hours. When it takes half an hour to fill the application. In many countries and many cases, he or she must wait in line to submit the application many hours, like 3 hours. When it's taken another hour to submit the application, to discuss with the government official, is it fulfilled correctly, maybe improve it. And after all it's done, the citizen must travel home, what takes another 4 hours. And when the certificate is ready in a few weeks, the same appears again. So we have calculated that those 2 visits may take up to 24 hours from the citizens just to submit the application and pick it up physically. If you do it online, it usually takes only 30 minutes. So the total time difference between offline and online service delivery might be almost 24 hours, what is 3 working days. And we need to consider that if we are pushing citizens to use still offline services, we are losing a remarkable part of the working time of the people, because they need to take a day off to travel to a government office, submit the application, and then at second time. So our citizens cannot be productive in their businesses or private life because they just need to waste their time to travel to government office, stay in line, and submit the applications, instead doing it online very efficiently and quickly. So now let's take a closer look to digital elements. And key digital elements are digital databases, interoperability solution or secure data exchange, service portal, and digital identity. And we call them shared or platform services that are used across the government. So those platform services are available to any government institution in Estonia free of charge, and government offices can build based on this platform their own services on the top of this infrastructure. And it's important to underline that by providing this infrastructure free of charge to government offices, ministries, agencies, it actually remarkably reduces the general costs for the government, because if every government institution is starting to build up a similar infrastructure for themselves, it will cost a fortune for the nation. So let us start from digital data databases and making digital data accessible. Estonian experience is that definitely until the documents are either well organized in the paper format, until the data is not made digital, you cannot use it for the digital government purposes. And also it's important to digitize the data, because when the data is in digital format and also like backed up well, any natural disaster cannot destroy it. But when digitizing the data, we have been using a set of principles for the digital databases development. First of all, through the digitalization process, we provided in Estonia unique numeric identifiers for the citizens, businesses, real estate and land parcels, and many other objects. So this means that those unique numeric identifiers for citizens, for example, it is unique citizen identity number. For business, it is business registration number. For real estate, there is also real estate unique identification number. So there is 2 reasons. First of all, for computers, it's much more easier to sort businesses, real estate, citizens by the numbers, not by the names, because names could be repeated, but unique numbers are always unique. And secondly, these unique numeric identifiers are used across the government for all transactions. So I have registered in all government data sets with the same unique ID number for the citizens, and it's used across the government, either in healthcare, either in police or any law enforcement issues. It's used in education, social security, everywhere. Hannes Astok is identified with the same identity number. And the unique identity number is provided for the citizen in the moment of birth, even before the name is assigned. So in the moment of birth, the number is provided by the hospital already. And it follows citizen during his or her life cycle and even continues after the end of life, because there is several transactions what relatives must make made also after the citizen has passed away. So this allows us to identify citizens and businesses, real estates across the government and avoid any mess around it. The second important principle is once only. So this means that citizens never have to provide the same information to the government twice. So once I have registered my place of residence, my home address in the civic registry in Estonia, so this means that no other government office cannot ask from me, what is your home address? But they must retrieve this information directly already from the civic registry. And technically it's solved with our data exchange solution X-Road. I come to it after a few slides. So it's technically doable, but it's important also that if this once only principle is enforced, actually after a few years, already no duplicated data could be stored in the databases. So we, according to the law, government offices can record only those data sets what are necessary and unique for them, and all the rest of the data should be retrieved from other government databases. Let's say my name, my home address, my family relations are all recorded in the civic registry. And if any municipality or any other government institutions needs it for some services, they must ask this information, not from me anymore, but already directly from the civic registry, but they cannot record it in their databases as a duplication. So the main national databases are becoming the single source of truth, and the quality of those databases is becoming better and better, because if there is any mistake is mentioned, I can immediately send a message to the register and say that there is a mistake and please improve it. The second important element is secure data exchange and governmental interoperability solution, what allows securely to retrieve and then send back data to various government digital databases, retrieve it for various services, and send it back if the data is updated. And the problem what we are solving here is that if we do not have properly organized data exchange, the non-organized model will look like in this picture. And there was, when we started this process in Estonia almost 20 years ago, there was already a high risk that all government institutions are starting to develop direct data exchange links with another government institutions, and there was a high risk that all those data connections are illegal and also insecure. And both issues are extremely important, because if government agencies are developing data exchanges one-to-one, it's very hard to monitor, are they done technically securely, are they legal, and also the question remains how to log those transactions and provide a proof of transactions if needed in later disputes. I will bring you here an example how we are using this data exchange for not only for a single data set query for whatever personal application, but also for the massive data queries. So in Estonia, we have 1.3 million inhabitants, and every month our pension authority is paying out pension subsidies, benefits for about 500,000 people. And before they are paying out the pensions, they have made all calculations already, but as the pension authority do not collect directly the information about births and deaths, and this information is collected in civic registry. So before paying out the pensions, benefits and subsidies, the pension authority is having a question: are those persons who are eligible to get pension subsidies and benefits, are they still alive? Because if a person has passed away, he or she do not have any more the right to get this money from the government. And before paying it out, pension authority is sending a request to the civic registry with all 500,000 recipient ID numbers. And after a few minutes, we are getting the response through secure interoperability solution X-Road that around 1,000 persons, what is an average number of people who are passing away per month in Estonia, we are getting the response that those 1,000 people are passed away, and getting as a response with their ID numbers and a little bit more information on the top of it. And this response is also timestamped and digitally signed. And when it's landing already to the pension authority information system, so the payments to those persons are cancelled, or if necessary, recalculated about the remaining days. So it allows government very clearly to control the payments and make sure that no wrong payments are made to any person who has already passed away. And the system itself is pictured here. I will not stop in this picture as you are getting the slides, so there is an opportunity to make a deep dive later. But what is important, that similar information exchange system, data exchange system, is already used in many other countries, including Ukraine, and this model, what has been working in Estonia without any interruptions for last 20 years, has really proved both in Estonia and other countries that we really every government needs this type of data exchange system. And once again, what are the benefits? There's no need to collect and verify similar databases by every institution, so you can retrieve the correct data from another institution who is responsible for this data set. The single sources of truth are easily accessible through this system because there are standard services already developed, so you can easily copy it, and it's easy to develop the services. Also important that every transaction, every data query and response is verified, timestamped, and logged. So if there is a later dispute that there was a mistake in this transaction, you can always, as a government institution, prove that in a certain moment when the institution receives this data and the decision was made based on this data, you can prove that in this moment you have this information, and based on it you made a decision. And all the transactions having also legal value, what is also important to legalize the digital government transactions. And now we are moving to a strong digital identity part, because as we discussed, governments need to strongly to know who are the persons who are applying for the services. And when I, as a citizen, when I'm applying for the government services, definitely Facebook or Google identity is not sufficient, because as you all know, to build up fake identity in Facebook or Google, it takes like 5 to 10 minutes. So governments never can trust this type of identities. Maybe in the future it will be changed, but currently our understanding in Estonia and also globally is that there should be government provided and government trusted digital identity to provide services for the citizens. In Estonia, we are using 3 types of digital identity carriers. The first one is Estonian ID card, what is first compulsory national document. In Estonia, you must have ID card, but you don't need to have passport, because you need passport only when you travel outside of European Union. So in the ID card, what is first compulsory document is also a chip with 2 certificates, one for identification and second for the digital signature. And as it is compulsory document, every citizen is getting also a chip with certificates and is able to use his digital identity. You don't need to use it, but if you want, you can anytime start to use your digital identity. After the ID card was launched 20 years ago, we definitely soon understood that mobile devices are developing rapidly. So the next step is mobile phone-based SIM cards, where we can store also digital identity certificates, and this is called mobile ID, and this is also very broadly used. And now the third wave, already a few years ago in 2018, we started to use also smartphone-based, software-based application with software-based certificates, what is called Smart ID, what is allowing you to use digital identity in your smartphone. And as we know that the latest smartphones already coming without physical SIM card, the Smart ID solutions allows you to use the digital identity also without physical chip where the certificates are stored. But anyway, either it's mobile ID or Smart ID, to activate it, you need to have your physical SIM card and use it at least once to activate either mobile ID or Smart ID. So it's all connected to your physical identity, what is stored in Estonian government databases. And as I mentioned, there are 2 certificates in all those solutions. First certificate for identification and second certificate for the digital signature. And what is important, that we can use those digital identity solutions both in public services, whatever they are, taxation, healthcare solutions, and so on. We can also, what is very important, sign documents and contracts, and not only with the government, but also business to business, business to citizens, business to government, business to citizens to government. So I think one of the biggest values of this digital identity ecosystem is that we can really exchange documents in digital format and with a digital signature. And in Estonia, I think already today, even business contracts, I think 99% of business contracts or business to citizens contracts are signed with a digital signature. And you can do almost all your business transactions by signing contracts, invoices, whatever is need to sign with a digital signature. And it was a very important lesson learned also during the COVID-19 pandemic, as during the lockdown, everyone was working from home. So there was almost no interruption in the business also, as the digital signature allows you to sign any type of contracts online, doesn't matter where you were located. And there is an endless number of services where you can use it, registering new business. You can access your grades and curriculum in schools and universities, do bank transactions also with the same identity. So in Estonia, where the same government trusted digital identity is used across the businesses in all transactions, including very sensitive transactions like via bank transactions. And also we have calculated what is the efficiency. The efficiency of a digital signature is that it's 20 minutes per transaction. So you don't need to waste time for printing, signing, and sending the documents. And also we have calculated in cost profit calculators how much money we are saving by using digital signature. And as Estonians has provided so far during the last 20 years, about 1.2 billion digital signatures. And if we calculate that one digital signature will save as minimum €2 per signature, as you don't need to print anything out, as you don't need to have envelope, stamp, a mailing service, and so on. So basically, I think the actual saving is bigger. So if there is 1.2 billion digital signatures, we believe that we have saved as a nation more than 2.5 billion euros during last 20 years. And this is really a remarkable number. And if you now multiply it to the Japanese conditions, with more than 120 million people living there, so you can probably really see what could be a saving for the nation in Japan, or if you're taking Ukraine with 43 million inhabitants, also in Ukraine, the savings might be really, really remarkable. Also, we have in Estonia portal and citizen application to make all the services visible and provide good user interface. There is an Estonian national service portal where all the services are organized by live events. But this is probably kind of, at least technically and organizationally, the easiest part of the game, so I don't stop on it for too long. And finally, to underline again, those are the platform services, and now on the top of it, ministries, agencies, and municipalities could develop their own services to present them in the national service portal or mobile application, and make it accessible and visible for the citizens. And the current situation with services in Estonia in 2021 is that there are almost all service applications are available online. What is currently missing is marriage, divorce, and real estate transactions. But it's not a technical reason why we don't provide those services online. And about marriage, we are starting probably soon. The reason is not technical, but to protect the citizens from themselves. And with the marriage, the problem is that if we are allowed to marry citizens immediately, and it's technically doable, but the question is just that if you in late night maybe agree to marry someone you just met, it might be not the good idea if you wake up in the morning. But definitely we can with better business process also make it available. So probably it will, after a few years, it will look like in the way that you can submit the marriage application, and after some, so to say, cooling time, after maybe 2 weeks or 1 month, if you reconfirm your will to marriage, then you can register also marriage online. The divorce is not available online, but there is a reason, because the divorce is approved by the court, because usually together with the divorce there is also issues how to split your wealth, and also often children rights are involved, so it should be not automatic but court decision. And finally, there are real estate transactions. Technically, it's not a problem to make the real estate transactions available online, but the question is again to protect the citizen from himself. So for this reason, we can make the real estate transactions, we must make them together with notary, who is like independent third party, who is confirming that there is a real will to sell or buy or transact the real estate, to make sure that everyone is really willing, everyone is sober, and there is a real will to do it. And after the transaction is approved by the notary, he or she actually doing it already digitally, the final transaction of transfer of real estate. So this was a quick overview about Estonia, and now I will present in a few minutes also current situation in Ukraine. As you know, Ukraine is a large country in Eastern Europe, with huge territory and population of 43 million people, and in current e-government index ranking, they are having 69th position, but hopefully when next year the new ranking is published, I truly believe that they are making a big leap up in this index. So let us take a quick look how Ukraine is doing today in digital government. Definitely the opportunities are there. There is a strong political will in Ukrainian government in very high level to make the digital transformation happening and digitalize the government. In Ukraine, when the new government in 2019 was taking office, immediately the Ministry of Digital Transformation was established, and also the Minister of Digital Transformation is also Deputy Prime Minister. So there is a really strong drive and also organizational setup to make the digital transformation happening. And also during last year, in each and every ministry and regional governments, chief digital transformation officers are appointed. So in each and every ministry and regional government, there is one of the deputy minister is a chief digital transformation officer, and here his or her role is to push inside the ministry or regional government the digital transformation, not only in technical means, but also support the transition. And those chief digital transformation officers are having like a double reporting. They report to their own minister, but also they report to the Ministry of Digital Transformation, who assists them in various activities. And also the Ministry of Digital Transformation is now growing. There is already like around 200 officials. They have also two technical entities who are providing technical support for those activities. And also there is a strong donor support from international donor community to support financially and technically digital transformation activities. And also the budget, Ukrainian own state budget for the digital government is growing annually very rapidly. What are the challenges? Definitely, Ukraine is a very big country, so to cover the country with a good connectivity and digital infrastructure, it's a big challenge. In Ukraine, definitely 4G networks are available, but the more you go out from the bigger cities, more you go to the countryside, the internet speed is getting lower and lower, and in most of the countrysides, only 3G internet is by mobile is existing. Also, there is very many administrative layers. There is a national government, regional government, and various types of municipal governments. Either administrative reform is ongoing, there is still a lot of administrative layers and what complicates actually public service delivery. Also, there is a tendency to over-regulate everything. So in Ukraine, before you can launch any service, you need to change a lot of regulative documents, and it all takes a lot of time and energy. And any change you make, you need again to change all those regulative documents, what means that all the changes are pretty low, and also in many cases there is an old type bureaucracy is existing. So most of the energy in most of digitalization projects are not going to technology and services engineering, but rather to various related paperwork. And also the involvement of a private sector to those changes are pretty low. In Ukraine, actually, you have very strong ICT sector, but they have been working already for last decade, mostly for the foreign markets and not dealing with Ukraine government at all, because from previous regime in Ukraine, they had really really bad memories, because usually the invoices were not paid. There was a lot of corruption, what is currently much less and reducing. I was still a problem. So the willingness of a private sector and the private ICT companies to cooperate with the government is very low. What means that the best brains in Ukraine are not still used for the government. So public-private partnerships development and building trust between government and private ICT sector is still a challenge. And quickly about digital enablers. And I'm using the same picture to compare what I was presenting about Estonia to present Ukrainian situation. And if we're starting from right side, digital data and quality of the data, most of the databases in Ukraine are in digital format, but there is two issues. The biggest issue is that the quality of the data in the registries is still a challenge. And the problem is that many registries were split across the regions, and now they are merged. And there is a lot of duplications or missing data again, or wrong data. So cleaning of the data is one of the biggest challenges for the Ukraine for the next years. And then also like technical solutions to run those databases should be upgraded. Secure data exchange is in place, and we are very proud that with Estonian and European Union support, and e-Governance Academy was involved very deeply to develop secure data exchange solution, what is called Trembita, and this is based at the same model what is used in Estonia. So we truly believe that the data exchange solution is now in place and will serve Ukraine government for many years. Also, there is a very good portal and mobile app, what is called DIA, and I think this is the portal and mobile app are one of the best globally. There is a really good user interface and really easy to navigate both in mobile app and portal. So this is also done very well. And with the digital identity, we also see, again, the challenges. There are several solutions, but most of them are certificates that are provided in flash drive. There is also several mobile ID-based applications, but the biggest problem is not technical, but the issue that they are not rolled out nationwide. In the biggest mobile ID solution, there is like 400,000 users, but there is 43 million people. So the biggest challenge for next years in Ukraine for the government is to agree what kind of strong digital identity solution will be used nationwide and how it will be rolled out, so that the most of adult population in Ukraine can use it and start to use it for the services. And about the services, digital services, there are first set of services are available already. Either the number is limited, but government and also donor community is working hard to re-engineer a lot of services and make them available online. So hopefully there will be good news already in 2021. And also there is a national e-services competence center. Idea is under development. So there is a plan that under the Ministry of Digital Transformation, there will be a national e-services competence center what will assist various government entities, but also regional governments and municipalities to develop further and also re-engineer public services and put them to the digital format. So we see that this will help really Ukraine government to move fast forward. So in general, the picture is very optimistic. There are definitely a lot of challenges, but at least with current government, the strong political will and strong political drive is there, and we really hope that this kind of approach will continue also during next years and with the next governments. So once again, as I presented, the technical solutions are there, but the analog elements are actually those who are making change happening. So thank you very much, and it was a pleasure to discuss with you, and I'm really happy to meet you again during the next meetings. Thanks a lot.